Hi, everyone. My name is Jess, your life and transition coach through your inner vitality. And today we are going to talk about weight loss resistance. And of course, I have an amazing guest with us today. So, Dr. Marley,
Really?
Dr. Murli. I knew I was going to screw that up.
Okay.
You are also a naturopathic doctor,
I
and
am.
Alisa, I would love to be able to, if you can, before we dig in, give an introduction to yourself, and would love to learn more about weight loss resistance today.
Okay. So thanks for having me, first of all. So as Jess said, my name is Dr. Murli, Alisa Murli, and I'm a naturopathic doctor, and I work primarily in Whitby, but I also work in the Upper Beaches in Toronto, and I focus mostly on women's and children's health. I'm also a certified birth doula, and I work with a company called Your Downtown Doula, which is a group of doulas all over the GTA, or sorry, they're specifically naturopathic doctor doulas around the GTA, and they provide in-home services for pregnant mamas.
Pregnant mamas.
Yeah.
And so you actually do have a focus on women and children's health, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, as ladies, I tell you, this whole weight loss journey, I am so curious to see your take on this because sometimes it could be tougher than others, or
Mhm.
even just certain times of our life. And I'd love to hear what your take is on all of that.
Yeah, sure. So, first of all, I just want to start off by clearing up what weight loss resistance really is.
Mm,
So, it's not where, you've lost some weight and you're just having trouble losing the last 5 pounds or something like that. It's when you've been trying and trying and trying and nothing's working. Like you're not losing weight at all, then we know that something else is going on.
okay.
Yeah.
And so this is like, they've tried exercise, they've tried their healthy eating,
Yeah.
their sleeping patterns, changing their lifestyles, and
Yeah.
they're still not losing weight. Okay.
Exactly. Yes. Um, so first of all, when talking about weight loss, I think it's important to think about why people want to lose weight as well, because you can be trying to lose weight for a myriad of reasons, but I think a common reason is because people feel like they have the societal pressure to lose
Mm,
weight, to fit into a box of what they think they should look like.
yeah.
Um, or sometimes even doctors make comments about your weight when you go in to see a doctor, which is actually quite inappropriate, in my opinion. Not only in my opinion, actually, new guidelines have come out to tell doctors that they should not approach the subject of weight with patients unless they bring it up themselves or they can ask permission,
Hmm.
but they're not allowed to just talk about their weight,
Yeah.
which I think is really important because your weight is actually like poorly correlated to your health outcome, which is contrary to what people have been taught for years and years and years. But except for at the extremes, your weight actually that isn't correlated with your health.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So what would be, I guess you'd mentioned certain things that would be considered your health ailments that would affect weight loss for you. What are some of those that you were thinking could be some issues for individuals?
So first of all, before we talk about that, I want to talk a little bit about BMI, if that's okay. So the body mass
Okay.
index, is that okay?
Yeah, let's do
Right.
it.
So I
Hmm.
think that most people are aware of the body mass index, and it's been widely used even in the medical community to assess if you're overweight or normal weight. But first of all, I don't know if people know, it's actually a 200-year-old um, index that was made by a
I didn't
scientist.
know it was that
Yeah,
old.
200 years ago, and it actually wasn't created in order to categorize people into these little boxes of their weight. Um, and the reason why it's problematic because it doesn't account for body fat percentage. It doesn't account for the distribution of weight on your body, which actually impacts your health, where your weight is situated.
Hmm.
It doesn't account for people who are heavy because of they got a lot of muscles, you know. So yeah, like the only time weight is predictive of health outcomes is in the extremes, either extremely underweight or extremely overweight. And even then you need proof. So you need to be running blood work, you need to be checking people's blood pressures, you need to have symptoms, all of these in order to say that there's actually health conditions coming from weight. Yeah, so if you're trying to lose weight and you're having trouble and you're doing all the right things, then yeah, something could be going on. So for example, to answer your question now, you could have problems with your thyroid that you're unaware of. So your thyroid hormones are released from your thyroid glands, which sit right here. And what can happen is there can be an imbalance in your thyroid hormones that lead to you holding on to extra weight or gaining weight, because the thyroid hormone is really important in the maintenance of weight in your body. You could have high blood sugar or high insulin that could be making you gain weight. You could have problems with your cortisol, which is your stress hormone, and then your stress hormone can actually impact insulin as well. So it's kind of like a cycle, sort of.
Yeah.
And stress hormone can also affect your leptin, and your leptin is a hormone that's your hunger hormone, and even growth hormone, and all of these can lead to weight loss resistance. So cortisol specifically, nowadays, so cortisol was supposed to be protective, evolutionarily.
Yes.
I'm sure you know all about cortisol.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's supposed to be protective. Only if there was going to be like a bear attack or something like that, you needed to have the cortisol to be able to shut down all your other bodily functions and just to run for your life, like the
fight or flight. Boom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But now there are different sources of stress, and they're not, but your body reacts the same way. So it's not life or death, but your body is reacting the same way. And when you're in that constant sympathetic state, as they call it, your cortisol can be chronically high, and that can lead to a whole slew of problems, not just weight loss resistance, but it can be one of them. And it actually can be the opposite. You could be losing weight like crazy unintentionally. It really just depends on what's going on in your body specifically.
I can relate to the cortisol component of that. I know that that's something that I was working a lot with in about, I guess, 2 years ago, right? And I couldn't get the levels down no matter what we were trying to do. And then there is definitely some work that I was doing with another naturopathic doctor to be able to help me out with that, to make sure that I was rebalancing myself again. So I guess another question to that is, how do people know if these are some of the things that they're struggling with?
So if you have specifically cortisol, could be you're having trouble sleeping, or you're feeling extra fatigued. Like it's kind of can be the extremes of the same spectrum. So with sleep, with weight, with energy, headaches, unexplained kind of like bodily pain, like just things like that, like can really be impacting the body. Even like losing your period or having extremely painful periods for women. So those are some examples. With your thyroid specifically, you may have a problem with your thyroid if you're feeling cold all the time, if you've got some hair loss, if you are noticing that you are actually, again, it's the extreme, so temperature, so you can have an underfunctioning or overfunctioning thyroid, basically. So yeah, you can have weight loss or weight gain. You can be really cold or really hot. You can be having palpitations. You could have hair loss. So basically, it's like either everything's slowing down or everything's speeding up with your thyroid.
Yeah. It's an all or nothing kind of thing, either or. When it comes to when you're talking about high or low, hypo or hyper, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And then also you have so I mentioned insulin before. So insulin is really important in weight management. So basically it's the hormone that tells your muscles and your liver to uptake glucose from your bloodstream so that they can use it for energy. So your body can become resistant to insulin. This is called insulin resistance. And then what happens is your pancreas will release more and more insulin to uptake the glucose, because the insulin that you already have is not responding to the glucose in your bloodstream, and the glucose comes from your food. So mainly carbohydrates. And then high insulin can lead to weight gain because it causes your body to increase fat storage, because it's kind of also signaling to your body like that you're starving because you're not uptaking the glucose. So it's kind of like the glucose is there, but your body's not able to respond to it. So your body thinks, oh, I don't have food. I'm starving. I need to conserve my fat.
And so if some of these symptoms that we're experiencing could be, say, some of these, but we're not really sure,
Yeah.
is there testing that can be done for stuff like this?
Yes, for sure. A simple blood test can tell you if your insulin is too high.
Okay.
It's usually not in the typical sort of like yearly routine blood work that's given. So in your routine blood work, they will check your thyroid, they'll check your blood sugar, but your blood sugar can be normal, but you can still have high insulin.
Is this something that they should be asking specifically for then, or
Yeah.
having a conversation with before doing their blood tests?
Yeah. If it is a
Okay.
concern for them, then I think it definitely could be a conversation that's worth having. Cortisol testing, that will kind of be specific to the person. You can test it, and it could definitely be helpful, because what it does is like it shows you the actual evidence of like, okay, look, this is really high or this is really low, and this is what we're going to do to make it come back into balance. It's just to show you, just to be sure, really, because you don't want to be messing with those hormones either if you don't know what's really happening.
Yeah. Misdiagnosing or treating.
Yeah, because you could make things worse.
Right.
Depending on what you're using.
Yeah.
What products you're using, yeah.
Could they, so in a question like this, would this be some areas that you're able to help patients with at this point, or?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those naturopathic doctors, we treat things like this quite often.
Yeah.
And we're able to order blood work, which is really important, and other types of specialized testing that may be helpful for you, but it really depends on your situation.
So as a doctor, as a naturopathic doctor, I know I've been coming to see you guys forever, but when it comes to the type of testing, you guys can do all of that type of work as well, just like the general practitioners do as well.
Most of it, there are some specialized testing that we can't order.
Right.
So it depends, but the vast majority of things we can order. The
Yeah.
only difference is we're not covered by OHIP, so it does come out of pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Some insurance companies, like if you've got private insurance, extended coverage, it will cover it, but some won't. It really just depends.
The one thing I could probably say to that is I know for myself, I go to get my blood work done with my general practitioner, and now I think it's Life Labs that I go and get my testing done. They have where I actually can access all of my test work. So then it's sent to me, so then I can look at it, though it means nothing to me.
Yeah.
But then I can also give it to you guys as a naturopathic doctor, so you guys have the results that you're needing as well.
Yeah, you can definitely do that, and we can always like have a conversation with your GP. If we would like to order blood work and just work with them and say, this is what we're working on, we need this blood work for this patient, would you be okay with requisitioning it so they don't have to pay for it out of pocket?
Nice.
Yeah.
So
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
I also wanted to mention, so all these hormones can be out of balance, but there's a reason that these things happen. They don't just happen for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some or two kind of main reasons I just want to touch on really quickly is your circadian rhythm. So one of them is your circadian rhythm, sorry. So that's basically your sleep cycle. And it's really important for weight maintenance. So you want to make sure that you're not eating too late at night. I know there's a lot of like conflicting. Some people say, yeah, you can eat anytime. Some people say, no, you shouldn't eat past 6. But it really depends on what your bedtime is. And it really maybe past about, like, for a normal typical person, you shouldn't be eating past maybe 8 o'clock at night, because your body does need that time to rest and digest while you're sleeping,
Right.
and get your cortisol to reset when you're sleeping.
So
Yeah.
sleep is an important part of the weight loss journey.
Yeah, and getting enough
Huge.
sleep and good quality sleep. So again, it's kind of, you don't really, sometimes like your cortisol can be causing your sleep to be out of whack, or sometimes your sleep is causing your cortisol to be out of whack. You don't really know. So you gotta kind of gotta figure it out. And then another thing that's really important is your gut microbiome. So your microbiome is basically all of the wonderful little organisms that live in your GI tract, your digestive tract, sorry. So it's all the bacteria and yeast and such that work in harmony in order to have your body functioning optimally. But over time, due to various reasons, the balance can be altered. So it can be, again, the reasons can be stress, diet, kind of the same things that kind of affect your body, everything in your body. Yeah. And they can lead, so an altered gut microbiome can lead to many things, and insulin resistance is one of them. And then insulin resistance can then lead to weight loss resistance.
Yeah. So it's a chain reaction, really. And so root causes, you know, some of them, it's about our lifestyle component as well. What's causing the gut imbalance, what's causing your lack of sleep, which is something that I can speak to as well when it comes to, you know, clients, and what are they needing for their life balance, and what are their worries right now, what's going on. You know, a question that I'd have with that, and I think this is where, you know, as we're kind of tying up our conversation today, is, you know, I almost feel like when it comes to gut health, there's a whole bunch of different things that you guys could be working with individuals on, from probiotics, but what type of probiotics, because there's so many out there, to their lifestyle and diets as well. Is there any tips that you could think of that you could leave someone with before maybe, you know, coming in to see you? Is there something that you can think of as a tip, as something for them to try, aside from them coming in?
It's hard to say specifically, partially because you're not legally allowed to make recommendations outside of visits, and partially because everyone's different. But I guess the most basic thing I could say is feeding your gut lots of antioxidants and lots of fiber. So all the colorful, all the colorful veggies, and all the, which also contain a lot of fiber.
Yeah.
Lots of vegetables and fruit, really, because fiber feeds your microbiome as well.
Well, you know, Dr. Murli, I do appreciate you coming on today and chatting with us on this. I love the fact, too, that you did offer for anyone that has any more questions where they can have a free conversation with you for 15 minutes. So that they can maybe get a little bit more insight and in depth of what they're needing to maybe work on, and for you to get to know them and their needs a little bit better.